Arthur, with brown hair and ragged clothes, climbs a dark cave wall. Flashes of blue light surround him. Arthur steps onto loose rocks. They crackle under his feet. A voice warns him to be careful. Arthur slips and falls into a dark hole. Arthur falls deeper into the hole. Blue light and glowing plants are visible below. Thump! Arthur lands on something soft. Dust flies up around him. Arthur groans and wakes up. He feels the ground beneath him. He mutters that a warning before he fell would have been nice. He cautiously crawls around, looking around. Arthur slips and falls again. He gasps in surprise. A large, dark figure lands in front of him. The figure is wearing armor and has horns. Arthur wonders, what? The figure looks at him with glowing red eyes. It says, "We finally meet, child." The figure walks towards him. Arthur looks scared. The figure gets closer and says, "Bugs will fly into your mouth if you leave it open like that." Arthur looks surprised. The figure stands tall, watching over Arthur. It says, "I need a little time to open a dimension strong enough to send you home." The figure continues, "I have special plans to look after you until then." Arthur thanks the figure. He walks over to a glowing plant and touches it. He comments that the plant looks nice. Arthur thinks about his family, his mother and father. Arthur asks the large figure what he should call them. The figure replies that its name is Sylvia. Arthur asks if he can ask some questions. Sylvia tells him to go ahead. Arthur asks all the questions that have been bothering him since he fell. The questions are, where is this place? Why is he alone? Where does he come from? Where did he get his injuries? And why did Sylvia save him? Sylvia answers that the place is in the Marrow Zone, between the Beastlands and the Elshire Forest. Nobody knows about this place because Sylvia always puts a warding spell on anyone who comes close, although that rarely happens. Sylvia tells Arthur that he's the first person to enter this place. Arthur says he can call Sylvia Art, short for Arthur. Sylvia agrees. Sylvia says she's alone because she doesn't have anyone. Sylvia explains that she has many enemies who want to steal something from her. Her injuries are from her last battle when she was trying to escape. Sylvia says that she saved Arthur maybe because she was touched by his bravery and sacrifice, or maybe because she was lonely. She doesn't really understand it herself. Sylvia apologizes and says goodnight, as she needs to rest because of her injuries and needs to be in good shape to open the dimensional rift tomorrow. Arthur says goodnight to Sylvia. Arthur thinks about how lonely Sylvia must have been. Sylvia reassures him that his family and friends are safe. Safe. Sylvia reassures him again that they are safe. Arthur looks relieved and cries. He thanks Sylvia. Arthur, a boy with short brown hair and ragged clothes, stood on a soft surface. He swung a twig while Sylvia sat on a throne-like seat. Arthur now lies asleep on the same soft surface. The caption explains that Sylvia and Arthur spent hours talking about various things when Sylvia wasn't preparing a portal. Arthur sits facing the armored figure, seemingly in conversation. The caption explains that hours turned into days, and days into weeks, as they discuss their goals. The caption explains that Sylvia never talked about her personal life, leading Arthur to understand that she was a private and mysterious person. Arthur meditates on a rock, his body enveloped in a blue light. In the next image, he continues meditating, eyes closed in concentration. The black-armored figure brings a small fruit to Arthur. Sylvia reminds Arthur of the saying, "Don't judge a book by its cover." Despite her intimidating appearance, Sylvia is actually kind, gentle, patient, and warm. The black-armored figure offers the fruit to Arthur. She says, "Do you want something else to eat, Arthur?" This fruit is very delicious and rarely grows around here. Arthur accepts the fruit, holding it in his glowing hand. Arthur remembers an unpleasant event, his encounter with bandits. Arthur looks angry. The caption states that he will hunt them down. Sylvia slaps Arthur, causing him to fall. Arthur asks, "Why did you do that?" Sylvia sits in front of Arthur and says, "Arthur, you are not wrong to wish for the bandits' deaths. And I chose not to save the mage who was with you for the same reason. Sylvia continues, letting your heart be filled with hatred and revenge like this will only harm yourself. Instead, keep going, you will live your life with pride, and continue moving forward. Arthur looks pensive. Sylvia hugs Arthur and says, experiencing misfortune is inevitable. But don't let sadness and anger corrupt your mind. Learn from it and face the future. After that, you will achieve victory. Sylvia touches Arthur's head and asks, did I flick you too hard? Does it still hurt, Arthur? Arthur states that being lectured on morality and life by someone who looks like the embodiment of evil is quite jarring. Sylvia calls out to the daydreaming Arthur, asking, why aren't you eating the fruit? Is something wrong? Arthur notices Sylvia's wounds and exclaims, Sylvia, your wounds, they look worse. Sylvia says, don't worry about such a small thing. These wounds fester over time, and also, I want to ask you something. Is it really just because of that? Arthur responds, Sylvia explains, this confuses me. Don't humans usually awaken at age 12 or 13? Sylvia asks, how were you able to form your mana core and utilize it more efficiently than experienced mages? Arthur replies, my parents said I'm a genius. Sylvia then asks, then is it possible for you to learn this? Arthur asks, learn what? Sylvia explains, to meditate and absorb mana while moving, and maybe even while fighting if you can. Sylvia stands and walks away. Arthur asks anxiously, what are you going to do? Sylvia says, humans have the same mindset regarding mana. Start with small movements without thinking and try your best. Arthur is seen practicing, saying, easier said than done. Sylvia says, mana beasts can do this naturally, but ever since humans started awakening, they've become unable to perform such a skill. But since this doesn't apply to you, just try your hardest. You can definitely succeed. Arthur says enthusiastically, I'll do my best. Sylvia demonstrates a movement to Arthur. Arthur imitates her and falls. The caption explains that this skill essentially trains Arthur to fight well while maintaining a stable mana flow. Arthur practices with his twig. He successfully performs the movement and shouts, Sylvia, I did it. Arthur wakes up and sees a weakened Sylvia. He says in a panic, as Sylvia. In the darkness, Sylvia lay helpless. A young boy ran towards her, shouting, Sylvia, Sylvia, what's wrong? Arthur, looking panicked, knelt beside Sylvia. Blood flowed from her body. He pleaded, Sylvia, hang in there. Arthur asked sorrowfully, your wounds, why are they getting worse so fast? Arthur stood amidst the fading remnants of Sylvia's body, while a colorful light shone from above. With disbelief, the boy murmured, it can't be. Is it because of that? Sylvia is like this. Arthur remembered his past time with Sylvia. Arthur collapsed, weak and heartbroken, realizing the truth. Sitting limply, the boy reflected, she did all this because of me. Sylvia, embracing Arthur, said, it's all right, child. Arthur sobbed, hick, hick, hick. How can it be all right? How, when you're going to die because of me? Arthur continued crying, I'm crying longer than I ever have. And I'm crying for the first time like a lost child. Sylvia said, can't you calm down a little, Art? We don't have much time left together, and I hate it if you blame yourself for this. Art replied through sobs, how can I not blame myself? You sacrificed yourself so I could see my family. You helped me by letting me leave this cave a little faster, Sylvia. Sylvia began shedding her cloak. Her demonic body cracked and crumbled, revealing her true form. My name really doesn't suit my appearance, does it? A blinding light appeared and large wings unfolded. A majestic white dragon emerged before Art. The white dragon said, and now do I suit the name a little better? Sylvia, you're a D-dragon? Art stared at the white dragon in awe. The dragon replied, yes, I am what humans call a dragon. Sylvia continued, and now we still have a little time to chat since I'm in this form. I had to use my true form to complete this portal. But since my disguise is gone, they might be coming soon. Bright light emanated from the portal. Art asked, who's coming? Sylvia approached Art and said, "Listen carefully, Art. There are a few things I want to tell you before we part." She gave a colorful egg to Art. Art accepted the egg, thinking, "It's not heavy, but I feel like I can barely hold it." Sylvia dropped one of her feathers and said, "Wrap it with this to hide its aura." "And please stay with me a little longer," Art asked. "Sylvia, what is this?" Sylvia hugged him. Art's body reacted to the egg bump. Marks appeared on his hand. Crack, crack, Sylvia trembled. "Now, everything will be clear when the time comes," she said weakly. Art, watching Sylvia with concern, asked, "Sylvia, your eyes, are you all right?" Sylvia replied, "Now I will open the portal. I didn't have time to make it all the way to your home. But you should arrive somewhere near humans." "Hurry," Art asked. "Just like that, I'm leaving you?" Sylvia pushed Art towards the portal. Another voice emerged. "Miss Sylvia, I suggest you stop being stubborn and hand it over." "Hand it over now, and he might heal your wounds," Arthur thought. "She looks similar to Sylvia's previous form. You've caused us trouble by hiding." Sylvia flew away, carrying the colorful egg. She said to herself, "I have a small confession, Arthur. To be honest, I purposely prolonged the preparation time for your transportation so I could spend more time with you, Sylvia." Sylvia continued, "I can't ask you to forgive me, but I have a selfish request. Could you call me Grandma just once?" Art pulled on Sylvia's feather and said, "No, no, no, come with me." Art continued, I don't know what you've done, but everything is freezing now. We can leave this place together." Sylvia replied, "You already know I can't." Sylvia released Art. "Goodbye, Art." Art cried out, "No, Sylvia." Art reached out towards Sylvia. "Grandma." Sylvia looked surprised. She shed a tear, then she vanished. "Thank you, my child."